And then we've got, I mean, in China at the moment we have about 30 people in design. Small Beijing studio. At the Hyundai team in Shandong province, R&D, great studio there, super nice studio. Difficult location to recruit to. And we have the Shanghai team where it's about 12 people now in the startup hub in Hubei. And that's the iconic side view. That is the connection with the history, that is the connection with the story. And you got this coupe, incredibly coupe looking car. So what we need for China, I think globally, is more excitement. We saw how the LF generation was exciting car. We thought, okay, we know where we are. What are the best things we've done before, and what do we see happening around the world? And you see the excitement, the visual excitement of the car. So this is a very stimulating, exciting car. The point with this car, we felt, give it more SUV character, more chunkiness, more solidity, more clearly, obviously SUV, and a bit more vertical. It's a kind of sporty vertical. It still looks wide, but it's solid and strong. Wheel arches, two-tone roof. Typical indicator here. You just got to do it. You can have one. It's got this 1, 2, 3, which is this 1, 2, 3. Didn't have any impact on this car, so I'm presenting the team's work. I did push the guys how important light is, how important light is in China and so on, and happy enough they were working on that anyway, so I have some awesome continuation of the chrome which turns into light into the GRLE. Try and get the company understanding proportion, fight the overhang at the front, give ourselves a coupe roofline, bring the eye line down on the side with a super muscle, which brings your eye to in between the wheels, making a long wheelbase. So you've got a low slung look. You've got the iconic, which F generation chrome, which goes down into the hood, which then translates and blends into the DRL. So this is actually the DRL running forward. So you can see the very fine dotted line. One of those good fights you have during the development process. I know the teams work so hard with the engineers to realize this. So you've got this great graphic growing. So you actually, we call it light architecture. So the light is accentuating the design detail, the design concept of the car. And we would love, of course, that light goes along. That's the dream. That's what we get to eventually. But that's the iconic side view. That is the connection with the history. That is the connection with the story. And you got this coupe, incredibly coupe looking car. So what we need for China, I think globally, is more excitement. We saw how the LF generation was exciting car. We thought, okay, we know where we are. What are the best things we've done before, and what do we see happening around the world? And you see the excitement, the visual excitement of the car. So this is a very stimulating, exciting car. Great muscle, great volume, and that's what the guys have been working on, to try and give that in its volume, something in this segment which doesn't exist. And the light at the front being very cool, very simple volumes. You can see how simple the volumes are with the graphics on the surface, then the detail within them. So it's not a complicated design, but the architecture has to be right, based on a good proportion.
How different for China?
For China, the real biggest difference is length. We've got I think it's 9 centimeter longer wheelbase, which actually really helps the car. So we always get the best proportion. It's like, there we go. And so we get a 9 centimeter longer car. Other than that, obviously we want the top spec lights and the biggest wheels like everybody does, but lighting is very important for us here. Nobody here will tell you that. You can look around Shanghai, look at all the buildings at night, and it's like, whoa. And doing that equivalent is so important. Exterior and interior, digital and lighting, that's the electronic age. This isn't EV here, obviously we're working on that, but that's the connection of modernity that comes. And I talk to the Chinese about light, and they sort of look at me and say, what do you mean? I said, well, look around. And they're like, what? And they can't see it, because it's normal. It's just normal. For us in Europe, we're like, wow. And so if you do it, and it's then subconsciously attractive, because it's just what they expect. And so at the front, you've got this nice graphic. At the back, we add it into the spoiler here, so we got the light all the way through and around. Thin spoiler, super clean, lots of width, sporty high deck. I had a lot of fun with this car, very emotional. I mean, if you look at the main volume on this body side, look for your Rouge show car, you'll remember with this volume. This line is very iconic, wide to small. The smallest point is quite a long way in front of the rear wheel. So it's really, often cars have a tendency to fall outwards. This gives it a really strong base between the wheels before it disappears outwards. And so you've got this really nice, strong undercut. It's probably not actually cut under, it's probably about vertical, but it looks like an undercut all the way through. Very clear, distinct line. You might see that in different forms in other cars in the future, in a different way of interpreting it. Very important design edge. It comes straight from Le Rouge. Le Rouge was a forerunner for this, and just sits the volume nicely. Sits the volume in a nice place. Gives it a really good feeling that it doesn't. I mean, often cars look a bit hollow in the middle because the overhangs are too big and too heavy, and this one gives you a volume in the middle, quite nice. It's got quite a nice plan shape. That then streams off long taper, very sporty. We saw La Festa out front, the black and black version, and we showed that car, and the press said to me, and I read some of the articles saying how they said this car's confusing. I was like, oh my god, that doesn't sound good. Read the article, or my secretary read the article, translated it, and said it confuses us because we expect boring cars from Hyundai, and this is a cool car. And so dragging people in with a cool, emotional car, there's a lot of very good stuff out there. You've got to have a logical reason and an emotional reason for buying something. The user experience is an emotional and logical reason. One of the user experiences is an emotional, like, wow, I just like that, I don't know why. It just doesn't do the normal thing, it does something extra, something special. And that's what we've tried to sort of tell as a story on the exterior. This sensuous sportiness is also, you close your eyes, rub your hands along it, it can only be this car. Now, there's a lot of cars out there that you can run your finger down this section and go, oh yeah, window graphic, plus this section, undercut, door handle, plus this section, and it's all the same section. But here you feel that, and you run your hands along it, there's only one car that does that. And it just stands out, and you just know. And so that's when I was testing. I learned that from Chris Bangle, because he said we were going past the car with the cover on. He said, "Feel that," and I was like, "Oh, I love that," because you just feel that. Yeah, there you go. That's unique. That's I know it's different. And grabbing things like, oh, it does something new. Why not? It does something emotional and cool. And people are very expressive, especially in China these days. People don't want to do just the normal thing. Hyundai, look, like the chess pieces of European chess. You know they're all in the same team. But they all are completely different. But somehow you know that rook, that bishop, that knight, they're obviously the same set. And so our job is to make sure they're obviously somehow the same set, but radically different. And iX25 and this car, you can see how, and La Festa as well. And that's what we're trying to do.
Shall we go to the
go on. Point with this car, we felt give it more SUV character, more chunkiness, more solidity, more clearly, obviously SUV, and a bit more vertical. It's a kind of sporty vertical. It still looks wide, but it's solid and strong. Wheel arches, two-tone roof. Typical indicator here. You just got to do it. You can have one color, but this bridge is the main theme inside view. The bridge and the wheel arch is giving this just stance. And then a completely unique lighting graphic. It's a very simple volumes. Very simple volumes, but then this is actually one lighting unit, but three-piece. This is like the twinkle in the eye. And look at something little sparkle in the eye. This is the connector as well. So you get this super interesting graphic, quite upright, but still you've got this width that comes through the whole car. So it should look bigger and more powerful and more dominant than the other SUVs in this segment. 3D shape, this sort of 1, 2, 3. If you say, what's the theme of this car? It's 1, 2, 3. It's like 1, 2, 3. Is that 1, 2, 3, and that's these steps all around it, this sort of hex. A lot of 3. I remember the designer, he's here today somewhere, Roy, who sketched this. That's it. I get this three-dimensionality to it and so on. Still continuing a little bit this going through. It could look complicated, but breaking this way gives you that horizontal, gives you more of the width. And so from a distance, grille. As you get close, you see more attention to detail, more detail. It's a little bit extra value. And then when you've got these simple volumes at the front and really interesting graphics at the back, we replicate that, albeit in a different way. So you've got it almost looks like a little cartoon character at night when the lights are turned on. So you've got, the lights are now on. So you've got this awesome, totally unique graphic. It stands out. It's totally unmistakable. And when you look from a distance, like, is that a cartoon character driving in front of me? It's just like, which kind of character? It's very cool. Breaking up the width with the horizontals as well. But then this is a direct translation of the theme at the front, but in the context of the rear.
What are some of the important, pieces of heritage from
previous? The most important thing, side view. If you look at the side view, look at the graphic. Today's iX25 with this narrowing window line, closing a different way on that today's car. But that feeling, that's the main character. Just the window graphic. You don't know it till you see. You see them next to each other. Oh yeah, it's kind of familiar, and that's what we try to continue into here. But otherwise, it's a whole new car. And we did a lot of that locally with the design team in Hyundai. And so, fresh look at the back, refining the front. Some quality work on the side. Car will be here, then it'll be in Russia and India, Brazil as well. So it's made sort of global markets. I don't think it's coming to Europe at this stage. It's not the kind of car for Europe. We have another new SUV that's coming, which is quite compact. You saw the sketches you had on. Everybody thought this car was going to be that car. I said, no, actually it's another one. And so, you're going to show that? No. What? Yeah, so that car's coming. That's a bit more high. I call it high density. In China, if you've got this high density, small, compact, expensive, it doesn't work.
No.
We need a little bit bigger and real focus on where the money needs to go to make it a value for money car rather than high cost European perspective. And so that's where we really have to fight these things. They put the money where you can see it. Put in your technology, in your lighting, in the screen, and your surfaces can be any shape, cost you basically the same. But if you're going to put money and put it into the highlights in the electric bits, that's why here you've got machine turned wheels, two-tone roof, contrast color, big vertical screen. You've got the garnish on the interior around the air vents. You just lift it, in that tangible, visible value. Visual value, all that visual value. Have value in surfaces. This could be a flat panel, but because you've got the undercap and then the wheel arch, it just gives you a bit of sculpture. It could be flat and then it says, oh, it looks boring, it looks cheap. Okay, it's got visual value, comes into the undercut through here. So we just try always to give that, it's like a subconscious attractiveness. Where we stand back and look at the whole picture, like it, get close, there's extra as you go close. You see more, it's a little bit of excitement. It's a bit like wooden paneling in a China. You go stand back, it's a beautiful proportional old Chinese house. You get close, you see the intricate woodwork in the doors. Then you get that extra value in the graphic, in the light, in the digital world. That's why the air vents have a cool, unique shape inside. That kind of it doesn't scream at you, and it shouldn't look old. It just like, oh, they care about me. So it's thought about me. There's a little bit of value into it. That's what we're trying to do, and you'll see that in the next products. You're looking at DNA, you see it on the grille. We call it this parametric jewel, and a parametric design, but like jewelry. Just when you get close, that's what it is. From a distance, you think, I can't quite work out what's happening. When you get close, you say, it's kind of delight factor, extra value, and it's challenging with the designers because you got to make something where every element is different. They're scaling constantly. Parametric design is open. There's a whole new field. They keep saying, guys, look at architecture. Look at architects work with light, how they work with form. You'll be inspired by that. So we plan in the next year and a half to move our Shanghai team into a bigger studio. I would call it a virtual studio. We still have some physical modeling because if we're planning a studio now, it'd be crazy in the future when we say, wouldn't it be great to see a one-to-one on that, mill it, and you don't have that. We can plan it in now. And just to be able to mill it, have a look at it, the driver, there's a paradigm change where we drive the process digitally instead of physically. So we are working now in virtual, which it's like, we just had the 20-year anniversary of the Matrix, the first Matrix studio. And we have the Matrix in the design studio. So we've created that Matrix where we're all together looking at virtual design, which both scares me and puts me I'm in a computer game. I'm walking around, I'm in Tron. I'm walking around in Tron with other people and we're discussing that, and that connects our global studios really well and gives us the opportunity to really experience that and drive the process digitally. And then checking model. Actually, we need just as much clay because we're milling it every week. Because we just mill it, have a look at it, but the driver is virtual. Because when you're virtual, you connect to the engineers more easily. You get and you can visualize, you can make it immersive and believable. And so cars like this, in the studio, I'm saying, guys, I want to look at that. Now, put goggles on, we're walking around in the studio, looking at it together, and it's a real car. It's, to all intents and purposes, a real car. As the goggles are getting better and better, the speed of process is getting better. That process started through us working with Chinese startups. Working with a startup in Beijing, and working with motion tracking, and working with those guys who work in the film industry, the games industry, and we said, right, we're going to hijack that for the car industry.
So that virtual tech you talked describing actually is homegrown, fairly homegrown in China.
We actually took that and then used some global companies, that principle, and applied that to the main studio. Now we'll be reapplying it here. You work on design packages, the first conceptual package, and when you get that right, that drives your silhouette. It's not that we draw a silhouette, say, okay, what are we going to do with this silhouette now? We squeeze people in. It's like, what conceptual package do we need, and how do we lay it out, and then what silhouette does that create for us? Does it create something different? Sometimes it does, sometimes not, but when it does, usually then you're communicating visually a user experience because you're communicating the interior space through the exterior aesthetic or something. When you bring your life into the car, where does it go? What do you bring in? Where do you put it? Where does it hang? What do you want to do? Why can't you do that? Why can't I put it there? Okay, find a way. And so we're doing a lot of that. Guys, it's not some kind of rocket science. It's just think logically about what is the customer journey. and what is the emotional and practical user experience of the brand anyway. So it starts in your pocket at home, and actually this is just the midpoint of the user experience. It's one part of the whole brand experience. And so we're trying to find spaces for that stuff so we get an emotional and logical reason for buying into the brand. And so we're working hard to create iconic looks. You'll see with that car, with La Festa, with this, and you'll see the next stuff coming. It's just not the same. But you know it's Hyundai somehow. Why do we know it's Hyundai? I don't know. That's the clever thing. That's the base on each chess player. They all fit, and the rest is something else. So, but it's not only design. Design is one part of the whole brand experience, and we have to get the whole experience right. Motor shows, dealerships, everything you see printed from the brand has to look cool, modern, fresh. We need to, drag our companies to really just see the signals. Just look at the signals and don't wait for the answers. Look for the signals that will happen.